Hey everybody, this is Taylor from Arsenal Los Angeles. I'm with my brother Braden, and that was pretty bad.
It was pretty terrible. Yeah.
I guess we'll start with the positives from the game. We had Lacazette score, fantastic goal. It was inch perfect, near post, beat two defenders outside of the box. What did you think?
Yeah, no, it was a good goal. He certainly justified his place in the squad. I know that a lot of people were looking to this game as the opportunity to see Saka, Aubameyang, and Pepe, and we didn't get that. Lacazette kept his spot. Pepe was in on the right with no
Mhm.
Saka, but Lacazette certainly justified his inclusion in the lineup. I'm not sure if necessarily Pepe did. And then Aubameyang had a fair few chances that he couldn't quite put away, but it was a positive goal from Lacazette. Overall, one of the stronger performers. The problem is we just couldn't progress the ball up the pitch in any meaningful way.
You bring up a point I want to touch on a little bit, which is Pepe. There were rallying cries from Gunners worldwide for him to start this game. And I thought that he was not very creative on the ball. Let's also take into account that he literally his wife had a baby like 2 days ago. I'm sure he's been through a lot these last few days, but he was not very productive.
No, no, he wasn't great. He had a couple of moments, a couple of solid dribbles, but against that packed defense, it didn't quite come up off for him. And I feel like it's not helped by the fact that he wasn't getting meaningful support there from the midfield. Like I said earlier, I don't think the midfield exactly covered themselves in glory today in terms of supporting the attacking players with solid passes and supportive runs. Um, so I think that he didn't have a great game, but I'm more worried about all of the parts of the team leading to him getting the ball than I am him himself.
Yeah, I think today was probably bring up the midfield. I think today was probably Granit Xhaka's weakest performance in quite some time.
Yes, yeah, it was very poor. I mean, I feel like Ceballos and Xhaka have their qualities and their limitations that I think most fans are aware of, but we really, really lack that on the ball progression of play. Um, Someone that can dribble through a defender, dribble through another team's midfielder, and get at the opposition, sort of break these lines. Those guys have passing range, but I don't think they necessarily have the technical or physical profile to do that role necessarily.
Who are you talking about in particular?
I'm talking about Jaka and I'm
Yeah.
talking about Ceballos, who had an okay game, but not quite what you would hope for.
Okay, so just the midfield in general.
Yeah.
Um, the word progression is something that I've seen come up a lot today, all over social media. Namely because it didn't seem like we were progressing the ball from anywhere on the pitch. The obvious problem that we had was our defending. It seemed very, very, very confused. And
Yeah,
go ahead.
we had lots of the ball, but we didn't necessarily have anything clever to do with it. Every time we try to pass, even slightly ambitious, it was intercepted or just
Yeah.
woefully misplaced. So just a lot of circulation around those defenders, and then back to the goalkeeper, and then around those defenders and back to the goalkeeper. Dead possession. I guess it keeps the opposition away, but not really anything of value from a creative or attacking point of view. And considering how many times we misplaced the ball in those positions and it immediately led to a Tottenham attack, it didn't really help us defensively either.
Well,
Uh,
so it seemed like our defensive unit, namely our back three. I don't
yeah,
really want to include Tierney in this, nor Bellerin. Bellerin in particular, he maintained a very, very high position on the pitch throughout the game, looking for those balls to be made his way. Um, but our back three were pretty intent on getting the ball back to one another, back to Emmy. in a way that was reminiscent of kind of the late Wenger era. And I don't quite understand what the thinking is behind doing that when you have a back three that's prone to making silly defensive errors, like the one that we saw Kolasinac make today, which was just
Horrible
probably as bad.
pass.
It's
Yeah.
as bad as it gets, you know.
I mean, yeah, that was horrible from Kolasinac. He certainly doesn't have the technical qualities that you're looking for, not just from a defender, but just any sort of Arsenal player in any role. I don't trust him on the ball. I don't trust him to
Mm-mm.
make the passes that we need to make. And we're asking him to try at least to move the ball forward, but there really wasn't uh, uh, much intent on his part today to do that. I think all of those three defenders in the previous two recordings, we praised that unit about how they knew what they were doing. But I think today we saw a bit of a reversion to form for all three of them to different extents. I thought Mustafi as well sort of lost the cool that has defined him in recent games. Was basically just back laying on the ground, letting attackers run past him again. Not good. Kolasinac, like I said, is just technically so not where we need to be. That every time he's on the ball, I'm sort of worried that a heavy touch or a misplaced pass will put us into some trouble. Um, and then David Luiz just didn't necessarily have a great game, and for someone of his experience, you'd want him to at least be able to rally the troops back there and get everybody in order. I do want to have a word though for Emi Martinez in goal, who I thought was excellent and really the only reason we were in the game at all. Couple of very, very, very good saves
Well, I
in the
think that
first
one
half. Go ahead.
initial, excuse me for interrupting, that one initial shot from Kane where he tried to kind of dink it over him.
Yeah.
You and I were texting, and I said something to the effect of, if Ospina was in goal for that, that would have been an easy back of the net situation. Emi Martinez, 6'4", just commands such a large amount of
Yeah.
space. Yeah, that I think a lot of his saves this game. I'm not trying to take away from his skill at all, um, because there's something to be said about the fact that this was his 13th Premier League start. That
Mm-hmm.
stat was being thrown around, and he's been loaned about a 500,000 times. I
Mm-hmm.
think there's something to be said about the fact that um, those saves definitely had to do a little bit with his size, some of them.
Yeah, yeah, and I'd say if there was any criticism to throw at him for the first goal, it would be that when he does go low to make a save, he doesn't necessarily what's the word? He doesn't necessarily maintain his stature once he goes low. You know, he
Mm-hmm.
gets very bunched up and scrunched together. Where there's a way to sort of sprawl yourself out while you're still going low. I certainly can't do it. I'm unathletic as hell. But there's a way theoretically for an athlete to do this sort of thing. And so like that reach and that just making yourself big that sort of defined him for the Kane chance, for that incredible reaching save that was going
Mm-hmm.
into the top corner.
Where you
That
just gotta
element I think
like the
is
fingertips on it.
exactly. I think that element is sort of missing when he has to get closer to the ground there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's difficult, but it's possible and it's something that he could
Close,
work on.
closer to the ground. Are you referring to the chance that Son had where he ended up saving it, but it was
No,
a
I mean their
low?
first goal.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, he's been absolutely tremendous for us, and I like that we have that sort of competition with our goalkeepers. I mean, not
No
competition because the
competition right
season's
now.
the
One, yeah.
season's going to be over, but I like that we have a second option who is or seems to be very sturdy.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. I agree. But I still think generally our trajectory is more positive than Tottenham's, though. There's some problems there. We've dropped a lot of points from winning positions,
mhm.
especially under Arteta. I think we had the false dawn with the game management the other day when we were talking about sort of getting carried away with the praise after the game against Wolves. Um, but I still think there's, if not from this game, positive signs to be taken. We'll see. We'll see where we go. This is a terrible, terrible weekend of results for us in terms of that chase for Europa League spots.
Mhm.
But what can you do?
Yeah, I think this was more or less the nail in that coffin, unfortunately. Time will tell. I've said it for a couple weeks now. I think that we really should be focusing on the FA Cup.
Ay,
I,
jeez,
I
don't even
know.
get me started on that. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Yeah. Otherwise, we'll see you guys another time. Today was not the result we wanted, but a sobering one nonetheless. Braden, thank you. Enjoy
Good
the
luck.
Emirates once again. Go get a pie for me.
I went to the wrong ground. It was a shame.
You can still go get a pie.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye.